What if I told you the most expensive flying mistakes in 2026 may not happen when you book, but when you assume the rules are still the same? Because that's exactly what 2026 has been. The airlines and airports are rewriting the rulebook faster than they're telling you about it. Some of these changes just cost you money. A couple can cost you your seat. And one of them, near the end, has put innocent travelers in a foreign jail cell. I went through every major update from the last few months, so you don't have to learn these the hard way. And at least one you'll want to text to whoever you're flying with this summer. Let's get into it. Let's start with the one you've already felt in your wallet. You go to rebook the same trip you took last year, same route, same season, and the price just punches you in the face. You're not imagining it. Airfare is up 26.7% versus a year ago. And before you blame the airlines for pure greed, the real engine here is something most people never connect to their ticket: the war in Iran. When that conflict flared, oil spiked, and jet fuel is one of an airline's biggest costs, so they passed it straight to you. And here's the kicker. Fuel's already dropped from its peak, but your fare hasn't. It went up like a rocket, and it's drifting down like a feather. On top of that, when Spirit Airlines collapsed earlier this year, a whole layer of cheap seat competition vanished, giving the big carriers even less reason to stay low. So what do? Two things. Set a fare alert the moment a trip is even a maybe. Waiting is now the expensive choice. And stop comparing base fares. That sticker price is bait. The number that matters is the final price after a checked bag, a carry-on, a seat next to your own kid, and a change fee if your plans wobble. A fare that looks $40 cheaper can lose that lead the second you add one suitcase. But here's what really stings. Even if you land the perfect cheap fare, there's a brand new way to lose that flight before you ever sit down. And it has nothing to do with money. Picture it. You're at the airport. You can see your plane through the window. The jet bridge is still attached. There's still time. You're sure of it. And the agent looks at the screen, then at you. I'm sorry, check-in for that flight is closed. That just got a lot more common because two of the biggest US airlines quietly moved the deadline on you. United now wants you checked in at least 45 minutes before a domestic departure. Everyone, even if you're carry-on only. The old rule let bagless flyers walk up as late as 30 minutes out. That cushion's gone as of early June. Delta made the same move for anyone checking a bag a couple of months earlier. American was already at 45. Now, here's the part that actually strands people, because almost nobody gets it right. There are two clocks running, not one. The check-in cutoff is the deadline to officially get on the flight and get your boarding pass. The gate cutoff is something else entirely. The doors close around 15 minutes before departure, and once they shut, your seat can be handed to someone else. You have to beat both. Checking in on your phone from the parking lot means nothing if you're still in the security line when that gate closes. So check in online the second it opens, usually 24 hours ahead, and reframe what on time even means. Don't aim for, I'll be inside the airport an hour early. Aim for, my bag is accepted before the cutoff. On a packed summer Saturday with a slow bag drop line, the gap between those two is exactly where people miss flights. Build a real buffer instead of betting the line is short, so you booked smart. The hard part's over, right? Except the airlines have also been quietly taking things away from you mid-flight, including one perk that, if you ignore the new rule around it, can get you banned for life. Quick question that shouldn't be controversial. If you're paying more than ever, shouldn't you get more? Or at least the same? In 2026, the answer is a flat no. And the cuts are coming from a few directions at once. Start with the one that genuinely surprised me, because the penalty is wild. United rewrote its contract of carriage. That's the legal fine print governing how you're allowed to behave on board, to require headphones. Music, a video, anything that makes noise, you wear headphones, full stop. Refuse after the crew asks, and they can remove you from the plane and ban you from the airline permanently. Experts say United's the first major US carrier to make that an actual enforceable rule instead of a polite request. The trigger was the rollout of fast Starlink Wi-Fi. Once everyone's streaming, the cabin becomes a wall of competing TikTok audio. Honestly, as someone who's been stuck next to a guy blasting videos at full volume on a red eye, I'm not mad about it. Just don't be the person who lands on a no-fly list over a phone speaker. Toss a cheap pair of wired earbuds in your bag. Wired. Because Bluetooth always fails at the exact wrong moment. Then there's Delta, pulling free snacks and drinks from its shortest flights, anything under 350 miles, starting in May. That's roughly 450 flights a day, the quick hops like LA to San Francisco. To be fair, they're upgrading service on slightly longer routes to balance it out, so it's more of a reshuffle than a pure takeaway. But if your flight is short, assume you're getting nothing, and bring your own water and a snack through security, especially on a tight connection where you won't have time to buy anything. At this point, it sounds like I'm reading you a breakup letter from the entire airline industry. Hang with me. The good news really is coming. But there's one more, and it's the sneakiest of the three. American went after the thing loyal flyers actually care about. Book basic economy now and you earn 0 miles and 0 progress towards status. And as of this spring, even elite members lose free seat selection and upgrades on those fares. Basic economy used to be a fair little compromise. Now it's a trapdoor. So run the real math against regular main cabin first. Once you add the seat you'll pay for and the miles you're not earning, that cheap fare can quietly erase the entire reason you booked it. At this point, you might be thinking the passenger always loses. But there's one story this year that flips the script completely. The rare time the passengers actually won. So here's the good news, and it's a genuinely important story even if it never touches you directly, because of what it proves. Back in January, Southwest tightened its long-standing customer of size policy. For years, plus-size travelers who needed a second seat were treated with real dignity, often getting that seat for free. The new rule made them prepay for it up front, with refunds buried under confusing conditions. People were furious. The videos went viral. And then the thing that almost never happens in this industry happened. Southwest backed down. As of late May, gate agents can once again give you that second seat for free when there's an adjacent one open on the flight. Just know that when there's space is carrying a lot of weight in that sentence. On a packed summer flight, there may be no open seat to give. So if you truly need the room, the safe play is still to buy that second seat in advance and track the refund terms, and to raise it early rather than at the boarding door. And here's why it matters even if you never need that seat. It proves something airlines rarely advertise. When enough passengers push back publicly, a policy can move. Remember that, you're gonna need it before this video's done. Speaking of rules changing under your feet, the agency you trust to keep you safe at the airport just rewrote some of its own. And one change has travelers totally confused about what they can even bring. You probably feel like you've got TSA figured out by now. Liquids, shoes, laptop out of the bag. But a few things just shifted, and one of them is being wildly misunderstood all over the internet. So let's clear it up. In late April, TSA updated its "What Can I Bring" page, and medical marijuana now shows up as allowed, with an asterisk. Social media lost its mind, deciding this means you can finally fly with weed. You can't. Let me be blunt, because getting this wrong can get you arrested. Recreational marijuana didn't change one bit. It's still a federal crime to fly with it, even between 2 states where it's legal. The only thing that actually shifted is for real medical use, an FDA-approved or state-licensed prescription. So if you've got one, keep it in the original bottle with the label. Bring your paperwork and check the law at both ends, especially anywhere international. If it's recreational, leave it at home. And either way, airports like Denver and Vegas can still ban it outright. And 2 smaller TSA shifts. Quick version. At some airports, private contractors are starting to run the screening instead of federal staff. And a few spots are even testing security done off-site. You clear a checkpoint away from the airport and get bused to your gate. Neither changes your day tomorrow. The real point is just this. Airport procedures now vary more than you'd expect. So don't assume your home airport works the way it did last time before you fly. Check the TSA site, the airport site, and your airline's app for anything new. Now, everything so far has been the airlines and the government changing the rules. This next one is different. This is criminals changing the rules, and they're targeting you before you even reach your gate. Imagine this. You're exhausted, your flight's delayed, your phone's at 12%, and there's a sign in front of you. Scan to rebook with a nice convenient QR code. So you scan it. That exact moment of distraction is what the scam is built for. It's called quishing. Criminals print a fake QR code sticker and slap it right over a real one on parking signs, Wi-Fi notices, lounge placards, baggage claim, anywhere with a scan me. It sends you to a fake site dressed up to look official. And the second you type in your info or your card number, it's gone. The tell is physical. If it looks like a sticker placed over something, if it's peeling, crooked, or just doesn't sit right, don't scan it. Open the airline or airport's real app or type the address in yourself. For Wi-Fi, only join the network that's officially posted, never a random link promising free internet. But the second scam is the one I really need you to hear, because it's the most serious thing on this entire list. When you check a bag, you hand it over, an agent tags it, you walk away, and you never think about that tag again. That blind spot is the whole vulnerability. Investigators in Canada uncovered a scheme at Toronto's Pearson Airport where corrupt insiders, airport workers, were swapping the tags. They'd move a real traveler's luggage tag onto a different bag, one packed with drugs, so that drug bag flies internationally under an innocent person's name. A news investigation identified at least 17 travelers caught up in it over a single year, and police arrested airport employees. And here's the part that turns your stomach. Some of those flights were headed to countries where drug smuggling can carry the death penalty. Imagine landing somewhere, getting pulled aside, and discovering a bag you've never seen has your name on it for a crime that ends in an execution. This was documented in Canada, so I'm not going to tell you it's happening on every corner. But the weakness it exploits, that nobody ever checks their own bag tag, exists in some form at any airport where checked bags leave your sight. So here's your 30-second ritual at the bag drop. Read the tag, your name, your flight, your destination. Photograph the bag with the tag on it, photograph the receipt. Rip off every old tag, drop a tracker inside if you've got one. Then when you land, check the tag before you grab and go. Don't just see looks like mine and walk. 30 seconds of paranoia versus the worst day of your life. Easy math. Okay, deep breath. Let's get back to the everyday stuff that just costs money, starting with the one thing that can cost you a few $100 at the gate, your suitcase. Your bag used to be an afterthought. In 2026, it's a strategy, and if you wing it, the airport will happily charge you for the privilege. Forget the fare for a second. This one's all about the suitcase. At Delta, United, and Southwest, a first checked bag runs about $45 if you prepay online, or $50 if you wait and pay at the counter, and the second's higher. American's a touch lower at the airport for now, but it slapped a surcharge on basic economy bags specifically. But the fee that really ambushes people is the oversized charge. If your bag's length plus width plus height crosses 62 linear inches, you're looking at a roughly $200 oversized fee. And that's on top of the regular checked bag fee, not instead of it. Here's the trap. People check the weight and assume they're fine. Weight and size are two separate penalties. You can be well under the weight limit and still eat $200 because your shell is an inch too tall. So measure your bag at home, height, width, and depth added together, and check your specific airline's limit on their official site before you ever leave. A couple more moves that just make life easier. Going only a few days? See if you can live out of a maxed out personal item and skip the overhead bin fight entirely. If you do check a bag, treat your personal item like a lifeboat. Medication, laptop, power bank, documents, keys, and one change of clothes go in there. Everything you genuinely cannot afford to have disappear if the bag goes missing. And always prepay the bag online instead of at the counter, because the counter price is almost always the punishment price. So you've dodged the fees and packed like a pro. There's one last thing standing between you and actually being treated fairly when something goes wrong. And it's the piece almost nobody understands until they're stuck at a gate at midnight. Here's the scene where most people quietly lose money. Your flight just got canceled. The gate agent slides a voucher across the counter. And in that tired, defeated moment, you take it. Stop. That voucher might be replacing something you're legally owed in cash. Because of a federal rule that's now in force, airlines have to give you an automatic refund back to your original payment, not a voucher, when they cancel your flight or change it significantly and you choose not to take the rebooking. Significant has actual definitions now. A delay of 3 or more hours on a domestic flight, 6 or more internationally, a switched airport, that kind of thing. It also covers things you paid for but didn't get. If your checked bag is badly delayed, or the Wi-Fi or the seat you bought never materialized, those fees are refundable too. And it's supposed to be automatic, processed within about a week for a card payment, without you filling out a pile of forms or fighting on the phone. The catch is that automatic only protects you if you don't accidentally sign your rights away. The instant you accept a rebooked flight or a travel credit, you've usually given up the cash refund for that trip. So before you say yes to anything, ask plainly, is this a refund or a voucher? Am I being denied boarding voluntarily or involuntarily? What does your policy actually owe me for this? And document everything. Keep your boarding pass, screenshot the app when the flight changes, save the emails and the receipts. The traveler who calmly knows the rule gets taken care of. The one who's just relieved to be offered anything walks away with a voucher worth less than the cash they were owed. And remember, Southwest from earlier? This is the same lesson in a different outfit. The leverage is real, but only if you know you're holding it. So that's the state of flying in 2026. Pricier, packed with new rules, and a couple of things that can genuinely bite you. But every single one is survivable if you see it coming. None of this requires becoming a different kind of traveler. It just requires not running on last year's instincts. I want to hear from you on this one. Out of everything we covered, which change makes you the angriest? The fees? The headphone ban? The fact that nobody told you the check-in window moved? Drop it in the comments, because the airlines genuinely do pay attention when enough of us say the same thing. And if this saved you a headache or a couple $100, do me a favor and subscribe, so the next time the rules quietly change, you hear it from me first, instead of finding out at the gate. Safe travels out there. I'll see you in the next one.